Geico presents yet another voicemail from your roommate.
Hi. So, about the kitchen. Turns out when there's a grease fire, you're not supposed to throw water on it. Who would have known, right? Anyways, the fire department is here and it's totally cool. Give me a call back when you get a chance.
The Geico Insurance Agency could help keep your personal property protected, like if danger is your roommate's middle name. Visit geico.com to see how easy it is to switch and save on renter's insurance.
Gentlemen, broadcasting live from the coolest city in the world. You're listening to El Gran Montalvo Show with my co-host, Jah Jah. What's up?
Rup!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is July 10th, 2015, and you're tuned in to another edition of the Bruce Montalvo Show, broadcasting live and worldwide on the Montalvo Broadcasting Network. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Now, we're going to start off, the top of the hour with basically the dope at the Vatican and the news that he's making. It's Jesuit Watch 2015, and I am basically the eye in the sky watching these bastards all the time, ain't I? Mm-hmm. That's right. Because they have to be watched, ladies and gentlemen. They are drug dealers. It turns out that...
And pedophiles.
Well, absolutely right. Exactly. How could I have left that out? I was just getting to that. But first, let's talk about his trip to Bolivia. Remember last week we discussed how, basically the Catholic Church is responsible for all these deviances, all these forms of bestiality that happen in places like Colombia. And now the Pope, the dope, the guy that's pretty much going to go up in smoke if you are to realize that he's the whore of Babylon. He's a fiend. He must be stopped. Okay? Anyway, this drug dealer, this freaking drug pusher, okay, admits that he's going to chew coke leaves in Bolivia. What do you think of that? Basically just...
Well, it rhymes pimp, with Pope,
the pimp
joke,
with the Dagon
hoax, okay? Coke, I hope he fucking chokes. Oops, excuse me.
Oh my goodness. You are just too raw and rough. You're going to get us in trouble there.
Excuse me about that.
Nah. Hey, it's... we're passionate here, ladies and gentlemen, and...
For it's Coke. That makes you want to joke.
Hey, that's what's going on with the Pope, ladies and gentlemen. He's in Bolivia... chewing coke leaves. I mean, this disgusting pig of a pope. I mean, basically, what's the matter with you people? I mean, you're going to worship a man with a fish hat?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to worship a man, ladies and gentlemen.
An ugly, ghostly dude with a white cape. I mean, you might Casper the Friendly Pope. Is that what it is?
Yeah, just
That's how he's coming off.
Sit a kid on his lap and see how friendly he gets.
Yeah, he gets real friendly, huh?
That's what I'm saying. I wonder how many of these kids chewed coke leaves with him.
Yeah, come here, little
this
one.
This ninth circle satanic Pope, occult member.
You won't feel a thing. It
drug dealing pimp.
It numbs you. It just numbs you. Put it on the lollipop, my dear. The lollipop.
Right. And then the Pope would put on a freaking Baphomet hat because everybody from the Queen of England, pretty much you see the flag of England, the Jolly Roger, another crucifix, another symbol of the Illuminati. But they would give these kids this hallucinogens and put a freaking Baphomet hat on them. I mean, everything has a Baphomet logo. From the Royal Air Force Squadron of England. I mean, from the seat that they sit on, these popes. I mean, have you ever seen the old seat that Cardinal Ratzinger sat on? Pope Benedict.
I've seen that.
With all the ghouls, it was like made out of oak, and it had
Yeah,
like a demon Anunnaki floating at the top with like a Baphomet goat head in the middle. I mean, it's just atrocious. And then you see this guy close up. He literally looks like Satan, like the devil. I mean, his
was
skin,
really
his
devil
skin
looking.
he looks like Max Schreck from Nosferatu. I mean, he's hideous. You could see. I mean, I think it's these blood drinking ceremonies that the Queen of England and the Vatican are involved in from centuries on, from the Queen of Hungary and all that. I mean, you could see it in their face that there's something just disgusting about them.
Yeah,
they're
they've been really. Also, the ugly ones, they do look. Ratzinger did look German. He definitely had like a Germanic look. I mean, if you've been to Germany, he did encompass some of their features. But the thing is that he got the worst of everyone in Germany. I mean, Germans could be beautiful as well. I mean, of course, but they can also be very, very ugly. And he sort of embodied the ugliness that could be possible, the potential ugliness, the gross national ugliness.
That's another thing. I mean, he's obviously ugly, but he's ugly on the inside as well. I mean, this guy was a Nazi youth. So you have back-to-back just the hegemony, the New World Order Anglo-American hegemony at the top with the Nazis and the Jesuits back-to-back in the papacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're totally controlling everything. I mean, the Jesuits are there to protect the Pope's image. The funny thing is that the Jesuit organization is so thick, it's so prolific, it's so powerful, it's so extended. It's like the long extended family of the Jesuitism. It goes into politics, into media, into propaganda, into culture, into art, into music, into your news, into everything, and they're there to protect the image of the Pope, which is real sick because today, as you see, we're in a totally different world. This is a totally different kind of Pope. We call him the reality TV Pope, So
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, this Pope's like in the news every other day. I've never seen a Pope so I don't think he's popular. I would say he's mediated.
Pop culture Pope. That's what he is. Bubblegum Pope.
But nobody loves this guy, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's like,
he's a drug dealer.
But nobody even loves him, right?
He is a drug dealer, okay?
Wait a second.
The Germans, you're speaking about Germans. Well, the Germans seized cocaine-filled condoms that were on their way to the Vatican.
Okay, but
you could look that up. New York Post. Yeah. It's out there. He's a drug dealer. He's admitting to chewing coke leaves. He's raping children. There's an order for his arrest that came out of Brussels, basically indicting him and the Queen. I mean, what else? What don't these people understand?
But nobody
out
really.
There
he's not like really
La
popular.
La Land.
They're making him popular. Is what I'm trying to say, Bruce. They are making him popular. This is not a guy like Obama who had a lot of charm and appeal, and people just tended to like him as a personality. This guy has no character. The funny thing is he's a figure, and the media itself, like Twitters and the Facebooks and the whole social media game that they've been playing now, they're able to propagandize, collective and get into the meta-conscious, which is part of like what the Tavistock Institute is part of, just getting the populace, the poll, the controlling of the ideology, and they penetrate whatever they want to push. Now, you're not getting a real feed on this Pope itself, because I don't think people can really care about this guy other than you have the brainwashed general populace that will, love the Pope. The fact is they are pushing the image of the Pope, and they are pushing Pope worship, just as they've been doing, like Beyonce or Jay-Z or whoever else they want to push to be the next idol. In this case, this is a religious idol, and they're using pop cultural templates of how to propagandize and how to advertise and how to push a certain agenda. And this is probably the first Pope that they've been able to do that to, and they're really trying that whole Occupy Pope Street,
Look, the Pope is a drug-dealing occultist, pedophile fiend. That is the name of this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Masonic Pope, Masonic pedophile Pope. okay? Everybody has to kiss the ring of this Fanucci. Everybody's got to kiss up to this Pope. I mean, you could just Google it and see how Vladimir Putin, Obama, they all got to kiss and shake the Masonic ring finger of the Pope. I mean, you could see it.
Yeah, even Netanyahu, he's met with him, you know. It's
the Jew.
Yeah, so-called Jew, you know.
German Jew, maybe.
Yeah, he looks quite German to me, you know.
You got to do the genealogy on that, ladies and
really
gentlemen.
check
And we
how the
don't
names-
have a lab or anything to
we
be
don't
able
have
to
a
prove
lab.
that to you. We just have an opinion, really.
I could
An
just tell you what he
artist's
looks
opinion.
like, in my artist's opinion. You know, he looks like Alfred Rosenberg, who used to work for Hitler. But then he very well could have been one of these crypto babies, you know, family that have infiltrated for power. And they've switched, the FBI was in this country, they've very prolific and it's a known fact that they changed people's names up, switched people's IDs, the CIA, you know, more the CIA.
And again,
thing, you know,
it's the Nazis that are behind this Pope and the last Pope that do that. That is the MO of the Nazis.
Yeah.
This political party didn't go extinct. They're the Fourth Reich now. I mean, they're the reason why Coronado Naval Base in San Diego is a big giant pentagram, as well as the Denver airport.
That's right.
They're telling you flat out, we rule the world. We won the war.
Yeah, Bush Sr. And when the New World Order, what did he say? And we will be.
And we will be successful on 9/11.
Yeah. I mean, this is what they intend to do. I mean, it's a slow penetration. They've occupied your media. You know, everybody's a pawn.
Operation Mockingbird, Operation Lebensborn, all of these operations, basically Operation Paperclip, which the originator, they brought in Werner von Braun.
Forget
all
Werner
these
von Braun.
Scientists. Well, he's one of the top noted scientists.
No.
We don't know if reptilians or
There's
Anunnaki were behind the Nazis. That could all very well be a sham as well, just
I'm not
to cover
saying
up
Werner von Braun
Tesla technology,
didn't.
right?
Yeah. But I'm not saying Werner von Braun was not the most noted one, but he is the most noted one. But that's what brings me to the question is that's the most suspicious question. Why is all of like 100,000 people that were brought in with Operation Paperclip all attributed to one schmuck? Okay, and this one good-looking guy who looks exactly like Paul Newman. I wonder what Paul Newman's real name was. You know what I'm saying? They look exactly alike. Just pull up pictures. It looks like they're a spitting image. And all of Hollywood had connections with Nazis. So, you know, they just tell you one dude, man. One dude. One nigga over there, you know. White guy, you know, whatever. Werner von what? I mean, there's probably 1,000 of these Nazis running around.
Exactly.
I can't call a Nazi a nigga? Why, is that racist? Is that racist? They can't say it's racist. They're not even black. I can't use that word. Oh, but Obama could use that word, right? But I don't even call a guy. I just called a white guy a nigga. You know what I'm saying? A white guy. Okay, and a white German. So he can't say that I'm saying anything racist. Okay.
Anyway, the Pope with the scumbag hat. Okay, he might as well be rapping too. Okay, because he's a thug. He's a fiend. He's the one that's running these banksters, okay, the Legatus Bank at the very top. Okay, we tell you they're in league with the Nazis because they took them under. Mm-hmm. They're basically running them. And they're running Islam, too. This whole manufactured war, I mean, it started in way, way before the Mujahideen, ladies and gentlemen. This goes back to the Jesuits basically coveting Jerusalem. They've always wanted Jerusalem. That's why these talks, as of late, with Kerry, these talks are really going to go nowhere. I mean, what the Iranians are saying that they're angry at him because they're saying he's psyoping them. So that's the whole thing. They sensationalize that they're going to blow up Israel. And pretty much the Iranians and all of Islam is pretty much under Jesuit control.
Yeah, today in Iraq.
And these Jesuits that control the Arabs, pretty much want this agitation. They want you to think that the Arab world and the Jews hate each other and want to go to war, when really it's the Vatican that's pushing this fear so they can control the populace, so they can continue to control Jerusalem, which is they've coveted since 70 A.D. when they destroyed the temple.
Yeah, there was that movie we saw called The Body, right, with Antonio Banderas, which was really an interesting, subliminal, and also accurate template of the Jesuit order and their conflict and not just the way they inflict their conflict onto both the Jews and the Muslims. I mean, the Jews and Israel and the Palestinians, because that movie itself, they were talking about the Jesuits the Muslims were saying to the Jesuits, don't let that be known that Jesus's body is just a man, because that'll mess it up for us too, us Muslims. And they were down with the Jesuits in Rome. And that was like a total truth.
It all goes back
right
to Constantine and the Council of Nicaea of 325 AD when, they want to say that the Jesuit order, they've been around. They've been around since, like I said, before 325 AD, they came up with the concept that he was a man of God.
Yeah. Way
basically
after
a tool to worship them. And in the book Holy Blood and Holy Grail, if you read that book, they basically teach initiates of British Freemasonry that he is the king of Britain, okay, blonde-haired, blue-eyed conquistador of Britain, who all the indigenous people have to bow down to, or else what happens? The Inquisition happens. What happened to the Waldensians happens. What happened to the Albigenses happens. Basically, some heads are going to roll, and it's the Jesuits that are going to be doing the cutting. The Inquisition, what happened in Spain. They're the ones that bankrolled the Muslim armies at that time.
Right.
Even from the collapse of the temple in 70 AD, which was a Roman endeavor.
And, who do you think's Benghazi is funding it all? Who do you think funded Benghazi? That was all...
The pimp, drug-dealing Pope.
That's right. Okay.
Bleep word Pope.
Those missing rockets, 100,000 missing rockets, all ended up in Benghazi, disappeared. Then it ended up in
it was to arm Hamas. And that's another thing. What is this dope at the Vatican doing? He is getting together with Hamas, a bunch of terrorists, okay, that, again, they created. Because, if you go back, even Pope John Paul, what is he? He's kissing the Quran. Okay, and then Pope Benedict on his papal plane, he's got a sticker on the side of his logo, which basically represents the Vatican, the new papal logo. It is meant to resemble the Baphomet. But it has a one world logo, which is what they want to bring all people under, is a one world religion. And the Vatican has teamed up, or has since the beginning. They created Islam.
So what they want
is created Jesus. So they created Muhammad.
Right.
A bunch of Santa Clauses.
They want to create all. They want to get into all religions. It sounds like they at the top. They got this one Freemasonry.
That's what it is. One world under Freemasonry.
Like the top of the pyramid, which they stole the gold, from supposedly the real tippy top of the pyramid in Egypt. It was supposedly 14 karat, maybe 24 karat gold. They took it supposedly in the Vatican right now. That's what they want to be, the ultimate eye on the top of the tippy top of the pyramid. And anybody else that has a difference of opinion, they're going to have a problem with. So we're in trouble, right?
Right. But I think it's fitting that we educate the public as to who really the Illuminati is and why they're not a defunct organization. Because you're seeing it. You're seeing it with this pop star, rock star Pope. Okay, they are the Alumbrados of Spain. It started there. Okay, it started there basically in the 15th and 16th centuries. And then it expanded over to Bavaria with Adam Weishaupt, who many people think actually assassinated George Washington, took his place. That's why, you look at the George Washington, one of the monuments, the statues. It looks just like the Baphomet, and he was a Jesuit. Again,
and what about Albert Pike? He's the one that they worship him. The Jehovah's Witnesses worship him.
They got a statue of him at Washington D.C., which is basically an illegal city that has us under its rule. Because the true constitutional seat of power should be in Philadelphia. But Washington, D.C. is the free Masonic wet dream, ladies and gentlemen. These sick, perverted P2 pedophile drug-running schmucks and their pop star Pope just have the whole world under MK Ultra mind control that all goes back to the Nazis and again this places like this Tavistock Institute that has a bunch of alternative media characters out there flapping their gums and talking about how they're not COINTELPRO, right?
That's right. I wanted to mention, though, you talking about the D.C. and District of Columbia and its own vicinity and how it's like, the Illuminati's wet dream. The fact is when I brought up Albert Pike and the Jehovah's Witnesses, excuse me, the whole area down there by Brooklyn, by the waterfront, is really called Columbia Heights.
Columbia Heights.
And all the Jehovah's Witness
District
property.
of Columbia. Right?
And all the property is owned, most of it is owned by the Jehovah's Witnesses. There's all these green buildings with like nobody in it. And then they were supposedly selling it and revamping and moving their compound upstate in Bumbleclaw, who knows what. I don't know.
Right.
That's what a friend of mine told me who was an architect. They were involved with the designing for the Jehovah's Witnesses. And you do see the property is being disappearing. But they do own that. And that's the thing. That is a brainwashing cult. Jehovah's Witnesses is a known brainwashing cult. They have had numerous ties to the UN. You could look that up. It was like Tracy.tv. You could look up just UN and Jehovah's Witnesses. There have been documents where there have been approval of so many things, such as underground tunnels. They've gotten basically overnight approvals of having underground tunnels in the Jehovah's Witness complexes, which would be a very impossible thing unless you had some kind of licensing or a total affiliation with the UN or a religious organization.
Again, another cult.
Yeah,
another cult. This is what we know.
Guinea pig.
This is what we know. Okay. Speaking of Albert Pike, they just banned the Confederate flag. Another psyop. You have an alternative media, alternative news, and mainstream news that are all controlled by, again, elements of Operation Paperclip, Nazi elements. I mean, it all goes back to the Pope and the just disgusting practices of the Roman Empire where they would rape and be pedophiles. I mean, they're doing that in the military. They're doing that. The Marines, they're considered the Cherry Marines. They're considered the part of the Pink Triangle cult. The most disgusting things you can think of. That's why these guys never get caught. You see them in a current America's Most Wanted, the guy from America's Most Wanted, and they never get caught. And all these guys are Marines.
Yeah,
why? Because they're cherry, boy-loving gay Marines that are part of just a satanic cult. Again, they love the Pope.
And nothing wrong with being gay, but, being a pedophile, a murderer, and gay, well, there might be a little bit of a problem with that. You take it a little bit too far there. With that. It's just constant. These talk show hosts, some of them are so on the pedophile tip. I think my ears are like bombarded.
I don't know how they're allowed.
Disgusted.
I don't know how they're allowed to be on the radio. I mean, these guys just everything out of their mouths is
oral this, anal this. I mean, that is disgusting. So what if I said the N-word? Our President Obama said the N-word. These people are disgusting, and they're supposed to be a Bible-loving original show, and they're like truthers, and they're talking like descriptions of oral sex and masturbation with little kids, and they go on and on and on and on for hours every single day. What is wrong with you people? How could you listen to him?
And then they pass off these products that have hallucinogens in them. I mean, we don't want to mention names, ladies and gentlemen, but there are figures out there in the alternative media. I mean, we're radio listeners. That's why I do radio to begin with, ladies and gentlemen, because I like radio. I've always grew up listening to radio from baseball games. Even listening to Vince Scully, the Dodger announcer.
The Tavistock Institute probably has control of that also. I mean, what they do, they totally control
out of London. Yes, they control all forms of media, and basically, it seems like they're the home court for NLP.
Yeah,
and the studying and the
mass polling. They're polling you for everything, So yeah, they say that you got all these bots watching you, what you buy, what you're targeting for. Well, yeah, they're targeting you, but you're gonna take that. They're gonna take that information and use it for some bogus poll, which they're known for, and then try to sway public opinion. That's their whole game. They are so right up in there.
That's funny you say bots, because it leads us to another news topic, which was the crash, the stock market crash.
Oh yeah,
the glitch.
The Greek glitch.
Right. We discussed in the Greek debt crisis analysis show last week how we knew something was up. We knew that the Fed might allocate emergency funds to bail out Greece because it's a Jesuit's paradise. And guess what happens? You have the Chinese doing some funny business in their stock market. Well, that was a while back, but we have this stock market crash with the Chinese doing some funny business again, not allowing people to buy stocks, and then this slight glitch over here in the States. I mean, I think that's how they swindled some investors over there for a couple of seconds. Basically,
23,000 islands.
The Batman heist that we saw in The Dark Knight, where Bane took over the stock exchange, the Gotham Stock Exchange. That happened. They basically sent China and the U.S. teamed up to, send Greece some money, some funny money to bail them out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you know today you were mentioning earlier, I didn't want to cut you off, but they mentioned that today in Tehran, tens of thousands of people marched in Tehran and Baghdad in Iraq. Okay, in Iraq, America influenced Iraq against Israel in support of the Palestinians, with Saudi Arabia joining arc foe Israel as a target for protesters.
I don't want to know. I want to know why the people are just not outraged that Obama wants to arm Iran. For one, I mean that's pretty much a Jesuit Vatican deal. Like we said, the fruits of Islam. They run all the Islamic Arabic countries. The Vatican does, and they're just pinning them together to just vilify the Jewish people. I mean, they have simulations. Iran does of them dropping bombs and blowing up Israel, basically sending it to the Stone Age. And the rhetoric of these Iranians and their top brass in their military is that of down with America and America must die. And you have a world leader out there so determined to give a hostile country like Iran
approval to do any kind of nuclear discussion.
I mean, at first, I didn't think much of the country of Iran. Turns out that there's very wealthy. It goes back through the centuries. Very wealthy Persians, Iranians. I mean, they have. The original Garden of Eden was considered to be out there. I mean, they probably have very rich and natural resources.
Well, my opinion is that's probably the best thing for the whole for Iran. They don't have nuclear plants on their property, giving them potential toxic damage. Well, that's a blessing for them. I mean, that means that they might have generations of their own future children. Children will be saved from lack of toxic waste that's proliferated through nuclear plants. We have a plant right in New York or New Jersey, the Indian Head or something like that. That is so close, and it's leaked. They leak. It's already proven left and right. You live near or anywhere near a radius of nuclear plants. There's always some chance of it leaking. I mean, forget about it being a target, a possible target for anybody that wants to drop anything. It's just like you might as well have a nuclear bomb, like
I'm
Fukushima.
I'm worried about a hostile country getting a weapon of mass destruction via a dope in the White House, an idiot that is just determined. I mean, they're pulling his strings. Okay, the people like the Queen of England and the Vatican. Okay, they pull people like Obama's strings. They're telling them what to do. I doubt that they really want to blow anybody up because, again, the Vatican covets Jerusalem. The Vatican covets anything they want. They're not going to blow it up.
Do you know what the
they want to control it?
You know what the Travis Stock travesty, the travesty of the Travis Stock. You know what the philosophy of the Travis Stock Institute is? Is rule with fear. So 90% of the things that you're being told, what you're listening to, what you're witnessing, is a bunch of freaking henny pennies. Sky is falling. Everybody wants the doom and the gloom. They want to scare you. That's how they can control you.
You said toxic waste. It reminds me, one of our biggest fans is the Toxic
Avenger?
The Toxic Avenger, right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's probably listening. Yeah, he's
that's
on
right.
a little while, probably taking notes.
That's
notes.
a little Freudian slip. And speaking of Freudian slips, how about Obama and his Freudian slip, where he basically admits
it's not even a Freudian slip.
The U.S. is training ISIS. And again, who is ISIS? They're basically just another Fruits of Islam army of the Vatican. I mean, they have this other group, the Khorasan group. I mean, if you look into Duncan's ritual of Freemasonry, they make mention of the veiled prophet of Khorasan. So it's some type of Masonic lingo going on there. The Khorasan group, just another fabricated,
the Tavistock Institute,
Al-Qaeda false flag terror organization that we're pretty much funding, like Obama admitted.
Well, they said that Tavistock Institute gives the president scripts. There's another subsidiary off of the Tavistock, and they have full access to what Obama says. I mean, forget the script writers. Those are the script writers. Right? It's all coming from the Tavistock Institute. So all those people that seem to have hot off the press, underground Jesuit news, in the 21st century here. So, I mean, they are definitely getting
that's where they get their intel.
Intel from the Tavistock Institute. They're getting the paperwork. They're not sitting there on the internet scoping and being global analysts, sounding like really cool and really intelligent all week.
Sound like something from NPR.
Yeah, dude. They're just getting their total Eichmann report, on how to manipulate and control people, the masses.
Going up there and putting a camera up a cow's ass in the middle of freaking Nevada somewhere. Anyway, we're talking about how the Vatican controls people with fear, and basically in Judaism you don't get to see your God, right? You just know that he is a force.
You have to be. They tell you right off the bat.
The Jesuits, they tell them that they have their God right here nailed to a cross, nailed dead for speaking up against the powers that be, basically the Roman Empire, the Roman Catholic Empire that continues today. I mean, who do they rule with? They rule with this illusion, this Santa Claus character that's just caused so many deaths, so many. They persecuted Christians too, but that's part of the game. They have to have martyrs, right? The Masons have to have martyrs.
Oh yeah.
They have because they were martyrized apparently, right? Yeah. So they have to control. They have to control the banks. Okay, they have to be Cain, who kills Abel. They have to.
But then it's Esau, and that's why the Arabs, they're so quick. The Palestinians specifically. Okay, I don't like to say Arabs or whatever because it's not right, but it's the Palestinians are running around. There's real footage of them holding up babies and children saying, we need more blood to show the world about our reason for our plight. It will help our cause. More blood of our babies. Give us more blood. They want it. Okay?
Yeah, and where does that come from? They're just following the Canaanite traditions. traditions
for
of
sacrifice.
Exactly.
Sympathy
Anyway,
for sacrifice.
Anyway, that is why they are in league with the Vatican, because we're talking about Iran and Jesus and what figures they use to control people with. The Vatican's all over the place. Okay, they created Krishna. They created Mithra in Persia. Basically, all mirror images of Jesus, who they control the Americas with. Okay, just another Santa Claus. They tell you to kneel, they tell you to stand. They tell you to kneel, they tell you to stand. Okay, the Council of Nicaea 325 AD ordained that under a Roman emperor, Jesuit emperor, pretty much, that he was a holy being. Okay, basically, all these prophets, ladies and gentlemen, even Muhammad, if he even were to be real, he had Jesuits in his family guiding him to be a prophet, and all the pedophilia that Muhammad was involved in, as well as Jesus Christ, who was a dirty hippie, pretty much sleeping with hookers.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, you're supposed to admire this guy, but no. They tell the Masons so many lies. They tell them he had multiple wives, and most of the offspring from those wives rule as the British monarchy and other monarchies today, which has probably got some bit of truth if he existed at all. So we want to go through some interesting facts or some interesting questions as to, did he exist at all? Being, as Jah mentioned earlier, we saw the movie The Body, and that was a movie where I could have done a better impersonation of Antonio Banderas. That's basically, when I saw that movie, I saw my struggle pretty much, going from just being brainwashed in this idol. I didn't even know they were introducing me to paganism. What, Jesus equals, aka Dionysus, equals Attis, all this Greek, which is Isis, which goes back to Egyptian mythology. Just
magic.
Evil,
it's all revenge magic.
Evil spirits.
A lot of stuff is like the Egyptian Book of the Dead. A lot of it, most of the stuff that comes out of the Roman Catholic reinterpretation of the Bible, or the addition of the Torah, is based in a lot. Even Judaism, a lot of that stuff is based in the Egyptian paganism.
That's right. That's probably why Ratzinger had a Dagon hat also with it could look like the Israeli Star of David, but it was a little bit more satanic looking, like a pentagram. But because he's the one that knows the knowledge of the Ars Goetia 72 demons as well, right? That is what drove all these Arab sages that taught the Knights Templar this black magic throughout their history. They taught them how to control these demons. That is why they want to control Jerusalem as well, because there's some it's on a ley line right there.
It's a high vortex with some spiritual
magic
supposedly
is
closest
going on
to God, and there's all this ancient energy.
So I've seen pictures of the sky in Israel, and it looks like
it's right next to heaven.
Like it's heaven. It's like,
I know.
Anyway, let's go through this.
But it's funny you say that. Can I just interrupt really quickly to give you this week's Torah reading, because it's really weird. It's just lining up so perfectly. It says, Pinchas is rewarded for his bravery because he fought from last week this Midianite woman who was trying to seduce him to be involved with cheating on his wife, as well as worshiping false idols, and they ended up killing these people. And then it turns out the daughters of Zelophehad successfully argued for a portion in the land of Israel. So then it's when Joshua, Joshua is ordained Moses' successor, and they end up dividing the land of Israel right now. Like, this is like the time of the Torah reading.
And that's what this dope in the Vatican is doing. He is trying to divide the land of Israel into two states with their creation, which is Islam, okay, their creation, which is Hamas, and Hezbollah, all these terrorist outfits, they're the ones, I mean, going back to 70 AD, they're the ones that are bankrolling them.
Yeah, and also
the Vatican is.
It also says, the last thing it says is that God relays to Moses the details of all the holiday sacrifices. So today this week is the Torah reading, and they talk about what holidays and what sacrifices actually are in law, Jewish law. So that was given to him this week, Jewish law and how to divide and inheritance. So that's kind of the theme.
Well, let me tell you, I've had a hard time keeping the Midderite women off me here in New York since I've been here. But you help keep them off me as well, right?
Look, what do I know? She was supposedly gay. She's my friend for so many years. You know, I didn't know she was
that's enough of that.
A Class A provocatoring gay girl. Nothing against gay people, but you know, come on. She was trying to get you to a nude beach.
We had an incident where this Chabad reading is pretty much identical to what happened last week. But you know, we're making light of it here. I mean, I have that type of bravado, ladies and gentlemen. I appeal to all women, so that's good. But you know, I love appealing to my main co-host right here, co-host with the most.
That's right. You know, so
co-host, coho for life.
That's right. No, but for real, I mean, this girl was just like, you know, slowly up in him, you know, she's like coming off as gay, you know what I'm saying, trying to be like for years, you know what I'm saying, so then I'm like, she's only playing, then she tried to rub his leg. Midderite woman, you know what I'm saying.
Beware of the Midderite women. Now, moving on to the instruments of fear that the Vatican employs, ladies and gentlemen, with their, no wonder so many kids are afraid of Santa Claus.
It's a Midianite.
Because Santa Claus is scary, ladies and gentlemen. And, I mean, pretty much, I mean, what they did to Jesus was pretty scary, right? I mean, they have cults that are based off of the pain that they
the thorns,
gave to him, the whippings.
Flagellation.
These people are disgusting, ladies and gentlemen. They're into just they're masachists.
Oh, you're speaking of the dominatrix. You see, she's coming. That's the thing. She is a Jesuit spy, that girl, because that chick, she even said to you that she got an actual cloth from the Vatican that had a picture of the Virgin of Guadalupe.
Virgin of Isis.
And she was supposed to do some magic prayer. She said she got it.
You gotta watch out when you come to New York, ladies and gentlemen. It's like going to like another world over here. It's like another world of spirits. And here I thought it was just a bunch of Ninja Turtles eating pizza. But anyway, let's talk about what I said earlier, the Vatican's control, this story they use from Mithra to Jesus, pretty much the same story. You've heard it in Greece, you've heard it in India, and they keep regurgitating over and over again. So we're talking about the movie The Body, where Antonio Banderas is a Jesuit priest who supposedly finds the body of Christ in a temple or in an underground cemetery.
He doesn't actually find it. A Jewish girl does, but he's supposedly a Jew too. He was a Sephardic. He was a crypto-Sephardic Jew, and they said, "Oh,
right." That's why it mirrors my story. That's why I was like into the movie. I must have had like 2 boxes of popcorn. I was so into that movie.
Yeah,
it was a good movie.
She said, "Oh, what'd she say? A Sephardic Jesuit." She said,
"Right."
You know,
wow,
and that's really interesting because we saw him in another movie. And he was
getting whipped like a slave, like an Ethiopian slave building the pyramids. But again, let's talk about the fact that Jesus probably never even existed, ladies and gentlemen. Here's some key questions, okay, from the source here. No first century secular evidence whatsoever exists to support the actuality of Yeshua ben Yosef. So they have never found anything.
Yeah. And then what happened in the movie is that they kept jumping off. These priests were killing themselves. So, in essence, it would be it would be important for the church itself to protect that knowledge, because there are plenty of priests and plenty of people that do believe that Jesus was a man and God is Jesus. I mean, why do you have to see a God? I mean, that's the thing. In Judaism, they expect you to be smart. They expect you, it's a more intellectual religion. They expect you to be of a higher plane where you can understand, if you really understand the concept of the Creator, could have never put put himself into the form of a man. We all have the same body. He's not going to put himself into a flesh. I mean, the whole entire universe. I mean, how would that be possible? Even if we have all these universes everywhere in the world simultaneously going on. I mean, that one little Jesus that came to this planet in that little town over there did the whole entire damn universe? I don't think so.
All right, now question number 2. Okay, it states the earliest New Testament writers seem ignorant to the details of Jesus' life. Again, the New Testament, I never bought it. It was just like a happy, hey, let's be happy. Here's Jesus playing with Barney the dinosaur type. Well, let's color, garbage like that. It's just too happy for me. I was always an Old Testament guy. So again, that to me also is a clue that even the writers had no idea. 1 minute he's 3 years old, the next minute he's like 30, right?
And there's not a lot of
they
lines.
Have no
that
idea
he
where
that
he is.
Said. What are where are the actual Jesus's lines that he said? How many things did he say?
They all seem manufactured. Probably just as manufactured as Shakespeare's lines.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Sir Francis Bacon.
But it's the same people.
Lines, right?
King James Bible, all these things that came out of
England.
Exactly.
The dope, the Pope, the guy that's supposed to be the more exalted than God, right? Everything that Judaism is against. So you can see why the Vatican and the Jesuits are just hell-bent on destroying Judaism and the people of Jewish faith.
Yeah, because it challenges the whole notion of worshiping a man, and Pope worship is in part, worshiping Jesus.
These people even contradict each other in their own gospels about Jesus. And what was it? It took like 200 years after he died for them to even start talking about it again.
Maybe more than that too. I'm not even sure.
What's the timeline on that? But we know there's a huge gaping. There's a huge gaping timeline where people just pretty much forgot
who he was, what he was.
This guy, he could have been pretty much a gardener off the 91 freeway called Jesus with a little crunched up hat.
Exactly.
Speaking of gardeners from the 91 and little crunched up hats, what's up with this? And I'll tell you how another Jesuit ties into this. Donald El Pelucon Mamon Chump Trump, okay, this dumbass, just fat cat, he's basically following in the Pope's footsteps, talking about the Mexicanization of countries, and that's pretty much where his rant came from, because Donald the Chump, Pelucon Mamon Trump, was taught and trained in Jesuitical schools. He went to Fordham or whatever, wherever that idiot went. So to me, that whole Pierce shooting, we put out an article at exposednewsalternative.wordpress.com. Basically, it's a psyop. They're using Lopez, Sanchez, Rodriguez, Ricardo, Juan
Gomez.
Maria Rodriguez, Tuco Benedicto Pacifico. They're just using this guy as a scapegoat against the Latino people.
That's right.
And it really grinds my gears that these pelucones like Trump have the audacity to speak about such a hard-working race, just as a political stunt. It wouldn't surprise me if the Tavistock Institute was involved with this one. And this guy was on drugs, and supposedly he runs into this gun underneath a seat that belongs to a federal agent. PSYOP!
Right.
PSYOP!
Federal agent, and they try to say an FBI
PSYOP
agent.
alert.
They're trying to blame the FBI.
BLM.
I'm sure it wasn't even... BLM was involved. BLM.
Some Bundy Astor Illuminati Blackwater agent over there just taped it under a table out there, and it's all Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. It's all Laurel Canyon.
Laurel Canyon. They're all acted.
This guy is Sirhan.
Script.
This guy is Sirhan.
He's not even. They're just gonna let him off anyway. He's working for them. He's an actor.
Those flowers you saw at the crime scene, that squeaky clean crime scene that has no blood, okay, or they just washed it up real nice. He was probably trying to sell her those flowers, and who knows, ladies and gentlemen.
He's an actor. He wanted to sound like Manny Pacquiao. Could do Manny Pacquiao.
I like to go toe to toe with anybody. I go toe to toe.
Yeah, and you're gonna go toe to toe with with the minority hater Donald Trump this week, or what? What would you say this week about hating minorities and being owned by a slave owner? Then he says, "My people. I have people over in the Philippines." What if he said that? My people in the Philippines.
Well, pretty much going back to Trump, he's a persona non grata now in Mexico. The Mexican people get their feelings hurt too much, and I know this coming from that line of thinking, with living with them my whole life. You know what I'm saying? My heritage. It's just these people are hardworking people. Most of the people that immigrate, and there are criminals. But most of these people also are being used by army psyops. And you have no idea what they're vaccinating these people with, so they can come over here and just get the population sick as well. And
but didn't you love that human bioweapon plants with the enterovirus when they kept shipping all these?
Well, that goes back to what they did in Guatemala with the syphilis experiments. And the army is using these people. I mean, these people can't vote. For one, I mean, people like Trump, they want to say they're coming over here and killing and raping and voting and taking people's jobs. They can't vote, for one, because they need a valid Social Security.
Right.
Which they can't get.
That is such a lie when people say that all the time. They keep saying, they're going to vote, they're going to vote. And they can't even vote. They're not even going to show their face. What do you mean they're going to vote? With what? They're going to run to the voting booths. Why do they care? They're just trying to get a free meal.
Well, these people aren't like,
not even free.
They're like the
They're
Puerto
working.
Ricans here in New York who will proudly display a Puerto Rican flag outside their porch. Okay, if they put out a Mexican flag, they're afraid friggin' ICE is going to come down and kick their ass and knock over their menudo. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be...
bang out that piñata.
All hell breaks loose.
What's
okay,
up with
so
that piñata
trying to hide?
Trump's trying. That's because you didn't have
They
a
should
piñata.
make a Trump piñata. That's right.
Didn't you say he's going to have piñatas now?
I saw Trump piñatas, which is that's a comical way to deal with it, right? Just make a piñata out of this dunderhead, this fake freaking wig, loudmouth neocon idiot.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, who's basically just barking the same Jesuitical talk rhetoric that the dope. The Pope is spouting, this anti-Mexican. He wants to give Mexico, the country of Mexico, an entire exorcism. I mean, they should give Rome an exorcism. I'm not saying that some demonic things didn't go down in Mexico, but again, under the influence of the Alumbrados, the original Illuminati, ladies and gentlemen.
The original Illuminati.
That's right, and that is who the Pope answers to. That's his clique.
That's right.
And it's cool now.
He's just
it's
a puppet.
cool because the Tavistock Institute said so. It's cool because they put out just Aleister Crowley to train all these mind-controlled MI6, MI5 musicians that exist today, like Jay-Z, that it's cool to like Aleister Crowley and all this sex magic that goes back to what was it, that other man you mentioned?
Marquis de Sade.
Marquis de Sade.
Yeah. And I love this other, I don't want to say his name, but he's like pushing this info, with this picture of Obama, young Obama wearing an Aleister Crowley shirt.
We found out that's pretty much a hoax. That's a fake. They're
trying to get people to equate anything like that with Barack Obama, with anything evil. And we're not like Obama supporters like that. We're not like, I don't really care. Right? He's got a good look at one point for our country, but he's a puppet. That's it. Whatever. Who's next? All right, it's Hillary. That's it.
Good luck. Why? Why? Because he was of another color than the status quo.
Forget about me and you.
That's what
forget
got
about
everybody
you or I.
pretty
Listen,
much.
It has to do with the rest of the world. We had these creepazoids, the Bushes running everything, and at least this way, at least the face of our country, we weren't so hated overseas. I was like, oh, okay, he's got a smiley face, he's got a cool swag, he's gonna kind of like get people to like government. Okay, he's gonna serve his purpose. There's nothing I could do about it either way. So whatever, just watch the show. That's all. Where's the popcorn? That's all I care about. But I ain't joining in the celebrations anymore. All right, this is your game. You want to have a little freaking baseball game? Who's going to win? A little basketball game? Watching the fake charade of a presidency? Go ahead. I'm not into it.
It's all a dog and pony show. At the end of the day, they're still going to violate your Fourth Amendment. They're going to violate the Constitution. They're going to crash the stock market at will with this fiat private monopoly system that they have. They have all these systems in place with NSA bots and like Monster Mind or Stuntex that could just crash any computer system like they did at the NYCE, the stock exchange, just a couple of days ago to obviously bail out Greece. Okay,
yeah, we knew that was going to happen.
They have all these Nazi organizations, shadow government organizations, surveillance companies like Promise, Palantir,
global corporations.
All these corporations that their eye in the sky makes them money. Okay, it's a business. Okay, they are the electric
global monopolies.
eye.
That's all it is. You know, people really wanted to care about their government, their governing body, then they would really learn about their local officers, their local positions, their representatives, their senators, the legislators, the local judges, the Supreme Court judges. You can vote. You can research this. But thing is that they want to keep everybody so stupid. They think it's like an Olympic game, you know. Oh, who's going to be the winner of the presidency? My leader, my supreme leader. See what I'm saying? You got to take my attitude. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? All these stupid talk show hosts, I can't stand them already. Every day, all of them are like, oh, they want to talk about the president. Every day, Obama this, Obama that, Obama that. You know, who cares? You know it's not Obama.
Because they are owned by the 6 companies that own all the media. They're all probably Nazi outfits themselves, from GE to News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, and CBS. That's who all these alternative voices that you just can't get away from, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is where you get true pound-for-pound conspiracy alternative media news. Right here, MBN, Montalvo Broadcasting Network, Bruce, Janine, Jah Jah. We tell it like it is, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. You know, I am Jah Jah. Yeah, my name is Janine. So what? I'm not afraid.
It's a term of endearment.
It's all right because I'm a known artist, but I'm also a known rapper. So you can check out my tunes over at iTunes. You can check out Jah Jah, JAH. You know, listen to. You can support us if you go to Etsy. Go to Etsy, ETSY.com. Type in Antique Obsessions or Conceptual Subculture, one word, Conceptual Subculture, or Antique Obsessions, one word. Just stick it in Google. Check out our amazing handmade, one-of-a-kind jewelry. You can put in a coupon, Bruce40, and that will get you 40% off. I don't know how long I'm going to keep this coupon on, but you will see everything from like Burning Man, kind of more metaphysical, kind of organite stuff on the Conceptual Subculture at Etsy, or the Antique Obsessions is like solid sterling silver, all kinds of gold stuff, 14 karat, amazing antiques that we repurpose, from earrings to bracelets to necklaces.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So use coupon code Bruce40 while it's still around. Now, closing up the show, we got a couple of minutes left. I wanted to ask you, so do you think that Pope Dope Bergoglio, the joke, you think he ate at Subway pretty much?
I don't know, but if he did, I hoped he choked. But I guess he was going to get choked out, right? Is that what it was? He was going to get choked by the pedophilia ring, the pedophile.
I don't know if he's going
to get Jared. They were looking at his house.
He's having chicken sandwiches. That's what he's choking on.
Pedophiles.
No, let me just clear it up, ladies and gentlemen. This Pope right here, it's just mind-boggling how society has just fallen in love with this pedophile Masonic Pope. And it all goes back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ancient times, even before they destroyed the Temple of Jerusalem in 70 AD. They're running all of these false flag outfits, these CIA terror groups like ISIS, the Al-Qaeda,
Boko Haram,
all of them. They have to go to the Vatican Bank and ask them for money to do anything.
Hamas.
Just know that.
Hezbollah.
Just know that. So every time you see this Pope out there, if you're a listener of our show,
stop worshiping.
You should try to just vomit.
Yeah. Stop worshiping a man. That is the Antichrist, don't you think? If that is the ultimate sin.
Well, he's not the Antichrist because the Christ wasn't even a Christ. So he's the devil Christ. He is the embodiment
of
all evil. Not good, ladies and gentlemen.
So don't worship him and he won't be evil. Just ignore him. Tune him out. Bye, Pope. Have a good night.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are wrapping up the show. This has been another installment of the Bruce Montalvo Show. We hope that you were on the edge of your seat as we expose what everybody else in alternative media is too afraid to expose.
From
Brooklyn, New York, the coolest city in the world, we're signing out. I'm Bruce Montalvo.
I'm Jah Jah.
We'll be right back. Tune into this dial, MBN, Montalvo Broadcasting Network. Check us out worldwide, broadcasting on Spreaker and TalkStream Live.
All the time.
24/7. This is the Bruce Montalvo Show. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen.
Peace.
And good night.
I can't believe it.
That Philip brought his little brother on our mission into orbit?
How long until we get there? How long until we get there? How long until we get there?
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
What's this button do? What's this button do? What's this button do? What's this button do?
Don't touch that! Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Banner University Medicine is dedicated to bringing the best medical care to the Tucson community. Our newest hospital is designed with your health in mind. With 228 private patient rooms, 22 operating rooms, and more than $50 million in patient care technology, your care and comfort are our top priority. Banner University Medicine, making Tucson's future brighter and your visits easier. Now open at 1625 North Campbell Avenue. Online at bannerhealth.com/University Tucson.